Chapter 1. The Worst Blind Date in Galactic History. Dave Harlan was knee-deep in a Thursday night audit nightmare. Some startup in Akron had misclassified 3 tons of Dravok titanium alloy as decorative art pieces to skirt the military surcharge when his secure work terminal pinged an alert he'd never seen before. Incoming diplomatic liaison. Clearance level obsidian. He ignored the doorbell the first time. It rang again. 3 precise chimes that sounded like someone who had never been ignored in their life. Dave muted his headset, pushed back from the triple monitor rig he'd covered in cargo manifests and efficiency diagrams, and shuffled to the front door in mismatched socks. Through the peephole, he saw a woman in a crisp black suit standing beside a plain gray government SUV, but it was the holographic ID hovering at her shoulder that made his stomach drop. The 7 interlocked stars of the Concordance. And beneath them, the crest of House Ghal'tor. He knew that crest. He'd approved and denied dozens of its shipments, boarding pods, reactive shields, energy blade components, all flagged under strike group manifests commanded by Strike Commander Zalina. He opened the door. She was tall, around 6'5", and built like someone who'd led boarding actions for a living and modeled on the side. Curvy, athletic, hourglass figure layered with dense, defined muscle. Her cool gunmetal gray skin caught the sunlight in shifting teal-violet-silver gleams, faint crystalline texture shimmering across it like distant stars. Chrome platinum hair in a loose ponytail reached mid-back, woven with thin growing filaments and tipped in tiny crystalline beads. Luminous amber eyes, slit like a predator's, regarded him with a faint inner glow. Jagged cyan-blue bioluminescent markings traced her collarbones and forearms, pulsing gently even at rest. Mr. David Harlan? That's me. I am Strike Commander Zalina Ghal'tor, House Ghal'tor Strike Detachment, currently assigned as Accord Liaison Officer to the Terran Integration Program. May I enter? Dave's brain blue-screened. The commander from his logs, the one whose detachment he'd spent years tracking high-risk gear for, was apparently standing on his porch. Come in, he managed. Mind the step, it's sneaky. Zalina stepped inside with the fluid precision of someone who'd walked on terrain far more dangerous than a loose step. She scanned the living room, last night's pizza boxes, triple monitor rig glowing with factory blueprints, Aether Clash card binder on the coffee table next to a half-eaten bag of cheddar chips. One eyebrow rose a millimeter. Dave cleared a spot on the couch by dumping an armload of laundry onto the floor. So, liaison for what, exactly? Zalina remained standing. 4 months ago, you completed the Concordance genetic survey embedded in your federal tax software update. Dave remembered clicking yes to some health questions for a vague interspecies medical research incentive. There might have been fine print, but the refund paid for several new Aether Clash cards. Your profile achieved a 98.7 compatibility rating with mine, she continued, as if reading casualty reports. The integration subcommittee has approved a 1-month trial cohabitation period to evaluate long-term pairing viability. Dave sat down hard. The couch springs gave a small, defeated squeak. Long-term pairing, he repeated slowly. As in, dating? Eventually, yes. The primary objective is viable offspring, but the accord requires mutual consent and cultural acclimation. I am here for 30 Terran days to determine compatibility. The words hung in the air like a bad loading screen. Dave opened his mouth, closed it, and then opened it again. Offspring, he said. Like children. With me. Correct. He stared at the coffee table. A single cheddar chip sat there like it had been placed for dramatic effect. Dave laughed, a short, disbelieving huff that didn't quite reach his eyes. It sounded more like he was choking on the idea than finding it funny. You're telling me the galaxy's big interstellar government decided I'm your ideal genetic contributor because I filled out a quiz? Genetic resilience, immune diversity, temperament stability, and metabolic complementarity, Zalina corrected. Your sedentary lifestyle offsets my elevated caloric burn. Your emotional equilibrium balances my... She searched for the word. Combat conditioning. Dave rubbed his face with both hands hard enough to leave red marks on his cheeks. So, I'm the chill to your kill. A tiny crease touched the corner of her mouth, almost a smile. Accurate. He dropped his hands and looked up at her, purposefully this time. The height difference was absurd. She had to tilt her head slightly just to meet his eyes while he was standing. The gunmetal gray of her skin caught the lamplight and shifted like liquid metal. Those amber eyes didn't blink often enough. The faint cyan blue markings along her collarbones pulsed once, almost imperceptibly. "No offense, Commander," he said, voice quieter now. "But look at me. I'm 34, 30 pounds overweight. I haven't been on a date in years. My idea of cardio is speed walking to the fridge during loading screens. As you can see, the house isn't exactly ready to receive long-term guests. I just don't look like the kind of guy who ends up in one of these compatibility matches, especially with a Strike Commander." Zalina studied him with calm amber eyes. "Dravok aesthetic standards differ. Your form is functional, and soft where mine is not." The observation sounded clinical, but those eyes lingered a fraction longer than strictly necessary. Heat crawled up Dave's neck, and he swallowed. "Right," he said. "So what happens now? You move in, we sign more forms, or can I just say no and we pretend this never happened?" Zalina tilted her head slightly, the cyan blue markings along her collarbones pulsing once softly. "The accord requires participation for the full trial period once a match reaches 90% compatibility and both parties have been notified. Opting out after this stage triggers administrative review and a mandatory report to your local Concordance liaison office. It is not forbidden." She added, almost gently, "but it is discouraged. Strongly." Dave stared at her. "So I'm legally obligated to have you as a roommate for a month, like a diplomatic lease I can't break?" "Essentially." The corner of her mouth curved, just a hint. "Though most participants find the experience preferable to the paperwork involved in withdrawal." He let out a long, slow breath that was half laugh, half groan. "Great. I'm trapped in a government-sponsored blind date with a Dravok Strike Commander. This is my life now." Zalina inclined her head. "It is temporary and mutual. If incompatibility is confirmed, the trial ends cleanly. No further obligation." Dave rubbed the back of his neck, glancing at the pizza boxes like they might offer escape. "Yeah, temporary. Sure." He felt the weight of it settle. Not panic, exactly, but the realization that saying no would mean forms, calls, explanations, and probably his mom asking why he turned down the nice alien girl. The path of least resistance was apparently letting her move in. "Fine," he said finally. "Spare bedroom it is. Mostly old PC parts and storage, but I can clear it." Zalina inclined her head. Acceptable. She swiftly stepped outside. The SUV's hatch opened slightly and a single matte black duffel rose on a small anti-grav disc, following her like a well-trained dog. When she returned, Dave took a deep breath and tried to sound like a person who had his life together. "Ground rules," he said. 1. We take this slow. Human slow. Dinner, conversation, maybe a movie. No rushing into whatever this is supposed to become. He gestured vaguely between them. 2. If the neighbors ask who you are, you can just say you're here on the Accord program. No point in pretending otherwise. Half the block probably knows someone who's done this by now. I'm not ready for my mom calling every day asking for updates, or the guys at the card shop turning it into Friday night material. I'd like to keep the first few weeks quiet. Just us figuring it out." Zalina considered this with the gravity of a tactical briefing. "Understood. Privacy parameters noted. My cultural orientation included Terran courtship norms. I've compiled recommended activities." She tapped her wrist and a small hologram appeared. "Mini-golf, pizza night, documentary marathon." Dave snorted despite himself. "You researched date ideas?" "Preparation maximizes success probability." The words landed differently this time. Not just a clinical efficiency statement. There was a quiet emphasis on success. Like she was already measuring the odds and wanted them tilted in their favor. Dave felt something shift in his chest. She wasn't just here because orders said so. She was trying. He shook his head, a real shaky grin breaking through the shock. "First objective, I'm ordering pizza. You in?" Zalina regarded the hologram, then him. "I have studied pizza extensively. Extra cheese is optimal?" "We're gonna get along just fine." As he pulled out his phone, he caught her watching him with quiet curiosity, like he was a variable she hadn't expected to enjoy calculating. His quiet, predictable life had just acquired an alien warrior roommate with gunmetal skin that shifted colors, eyes that glowed, and markings that pulsed like living circuitry. And somehow, despite the fact that his heart was still hammering like he'd run a mile, he wasn't panicking. Yet.